Welcome to another episode of The Legal Lens, a podcast where we sit down with legal professionals, public servant, and policy leaders to uncover the real journeys behind careers in law and government. I'm Vivian.
And I'm Tony. We are your hosts, and we started this podcast to help young people like myself explore the many paths into the many fields of law and advice and seek advice from those already walking them. Today, I'm incredibly excited to kick off our series with Caleb Kerr. Caleb is currently a project assistant at King Spalding, serving for government and public policy for healthcare teams. He specializes in international trade and economic development in the agricultural sector, cultivating his passion in rural communities across the nation.
Caleb, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you both for having me.
So to start off, could you please tell us a little bit more about your background and how you have been doing lately?
Sure, definitely. I'm a proud UGA grad, 2024. So after I graduated, then I was able to move up to Washington, D.C. and start full time with King and Spalding. But I actually entered UGA as a political science major. So that was where I started. And obviously, you don't have to finish there, and you can explore so many different classes and paths at UGA. That was definitely what I did. But after freshman year, I realized I wanted a more econ focused degree, but I didn't know whether that would be through the Terry School or through another path like the consumer economics at the Family and Consumer Sciences Center, or through agriculture, which is where I found my niche. And so there were tons of opportunities for policy work with agriculture at um, CAES. And so that was where I really found my home, and then combined it with an international affairs degree, which they really worked well together. And then eventually had some great opportunities with the Agricultural Fellows Program my summer 2023. That was my junior year. And then during my senior year in 2024 was the Propel Rural Scholars Program through the Carl Vinson Institute of Government, which was just a fantastic way to get to know Georgia too. And so that was where I really found my home, and I was able to grow and then finally make it back up to DC full time.
Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And a personal question that I have from both myself and Vivian. You also said that you partook in international affairs. Now, I see a lot of pre-law UGA students go into international affairs either as a first major or a secondary major. And why do you think that is, and how useful is international affairs as a major?
Super useful. At least for those who take it, I think it's extremely interesting and relevant to what's going on today, especially if you want to live in DC after you graduate too. But I also think it's really about knowing you can have, for me at least, I found I started to really love agriculture, but I wanted to connect it to the world too. And so the best way to do that was to pair it with the international affairs degree, which gave me a more global perspective on trade, international trade, and how agriculture plays a big part in rural development and communities that are just starting to grow. And so I really appreciated having the international affairs degree as that global perspective to what I was already interested in, which was agriculture. And so it really paired well. But yeah, I really highly recommend it.
Wow, that's terrific. Branching out your passion, not only the United States, but also to the rest of the world with that global perspective. I really admire that. So to start off, could you please tell us about your background and how you've been doing lately, or what you've been doing as a project?
I think I asked that question before, right? This is
So that's cool. Yeah, I guess I didn't answer what I was doing as a project assistant too. I don't do a lot with agriculture now. I'm primarily a healthcare paralegal and a congressional investigations paralegal, which I really enjoy. The work is really substantive, and the lawyers here are super experienced, and they're really kind. They let me participate in some uh, difficult, challenging matters. And so, but for the past year and 1 month, so about, yeah, 13 months yesterday, um, I've been helping the healthcare team as they have ramped up their participation, their filings with HHS and different agencies. And so we're helping our clients to uh, get those returns for their patients. Most of our clients are hospitals, and so we're helping our clients to get that federal money from the government. And so it's been really fulfilling. And then on the congressional investigation side, we deal a lot with current congressional investigations, and then when companies are investigated, we'll help our clients to just really be prepared for congressional hearings. And so it's been a really fantastic experience helping out.
That's wonderful. You said that you transitioned to like healthcare, but I was also curious how you got into agricultural law as well, because I think that's like really niche, if that makes sense.
Definitely, yeah. I wasn't expecting to enjoy agriculture so much. I was, like I said, I started political science, and then I knew I wanted the econ degree, and I kind of fell into agriculture because I also knew I wanted a more hands-on approach to rural development, and so that happened to be the best option, but certainly not what everyone has to choose. You can certainly get into law in a totally different way. Um, for example, I had friends at UGA who really enjoyed business, and they knew that they were really good at business, and then they still wanted to go to law school, and so they were involved in business societies, and then went to law school from there. So it's definitely not a straight path, and you both are learning, will learn it, and it's just exciting to be on the journey. So, but yeah, definitely in the future, I'm interested in agricultural law. Um, Both lobbying and the policy side of it. And I'm still in the process of deciding whether law school is right for me too. So this experience here at King Spalding has been really, really just insightful into whether law school is the right option for me.
Sounds
I think
awesome.
that's terrific that you're seeking experience in the career world before pursuing law school and specializing in agricultural law because, law school is a very big commitment. You come out with that and you really want to make sure that it's the best path for you. And I
Absolutely.
think,
Yeah.
and I think your path is a very respectable one and one that our listeners could very much learn from. And for our listeners, undergrads or future undergrads who want to make a impact in agricultural policy, what steps would you recommend them to take in their undergraduate year?
Great question. There is a ton to do. If you are involved with the College of Agriculture, there are so many opportunities for getting involved with Georgia agriculture specifically. Excuse me. The Like my experience, I said, was the Congressional Agricultural Fellows Program. Really, I'm not from Georgia, so when I came to UGA, that was my first experience with everything Georgia, and so it really helped me to serving in Senator Warnock's office helped me to get a perspective on uh, the importance, the multi-billion-dollar Georgia agricultural industry, and what it brings back to the state too. Um, and so that was a really fantastic opportunity. But otherwise, um, I was sort of involved with UGA farmers and ranchers, young farmers and ranchers, and then we were able to. I also really enjoyed the Propel Rural Scholars Program, and so it was a great chance. Also, then to excuse me, we got to travel around Georgia and actually meet with um, farmers in like my county was Lower Chattahoochee County, the Council of Governments down there near Columbus, Georgia, and that was really an eye-opening experience to get to know how communities interact with the farmers who are a part of their communities, and then how they market their products to either large corporations or to their town specifically, and how they boost tourism. Our personal focus was on tourism and agritourism, especially. So that was a fantastic way to get involved too. But there are so many opportunities in the College of Agriculture, and then also policy work through SPIA too, through Athens representatives, or if you're interested in law, mock trial too. I'm not sure if y'all are interested or involved with it. I was for just one semester, but I really enjoyed it too.
I think I could have like a personal question. We are actually very interested in mock trial. We were thinking
Yeah,
of joining, but we didn't know like what's like the process of joining and like what could you bring on the table to kind of stand you out in like the audition process or whatever.
that's a great question. I joined my very first semester, a freshman year, and it was a fantastic, really awesome experience. But the interview, I think it was a little interesting because I was all online. It was fall 2020, and so it was COVID. I think it will be a little different in person, but I think the most important thing you can have is confidence and really just demonstrating that you know your character that you represent. I was a character witness, and so you know your character front to back. All of the facts of the case are really important, and so when you're auditioning, they'll definitely give you hopefully they'll give you an example script from a character, and then you can embody that. You just really want to know your character front to back so that you stand out among other candidates. But yeah, y'all will do great, and it's a great competition environment, and you work with your team really closely. Some long hours too. Yeah, prepping for cases, and so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, to be honest, I've never been involved in mock trial in high school. I was part of Model UN, like international
Gotcha.
affair. So I don't, I'm not sure how different it is, but hopefully I could transfer some of the skills to mock trial. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Tony, do you have any question?
And I saw on your LinkedIn profile that you had several internships, as you mentioned, one for Senator Raphael Warnock here in Georgia before your time at King Spalding right now. So I just want to ask, how integral do you think those internships were to get you the position that you have now and to prepare you for the job and the daily tasks that you perform?
Super important. Um, like I said, I'm a healthcare paralegal now, and that didn't really relate to my degree at all, but it was the skills from those internships and my degree that really helped me to stand out in the pool of King Spalding applicants too, and just demonstrating that I knew the congressional environment in DC with Senator Warnock, and they were looking for someone who was good at media tracking, and so that really helped me um, to stand out at King and Spalding. But you don't have to start at the congressional level if you're interested in coming to DC, or even at the state level in Georgia. I started with a remote internship at AGCO, the International Agriculture Technology Company, and I really appreciated my time there because it taught me a lot about the products that farmers are using. So I was a part of the customer experience team. So we would generate surveys for customers who would buy things like tractors and different other tilling machines, um, which was really interesting to me because I got to learn the behind the scenes of what goes on in personal finance for a farmer, which was really cool. So, and my team was mostly international, and so I got to work with a director in Zurich, and it was a really cool experience. That was summer of my sophomore year. But even before that, my summer of my freshman year, I was working at Chick-fil-A, and when I got to King and Spalding, uh, that was one of the factors that they said, "Oh yeah, we hired you because if you've worked at Chick-fil-A, you have a pretty good attitude. Like you can serve people, and you don't necessarily need the skills to start. It's more about do you have the willingness to learn and are you ready to go?" So that was a big thing too. Is if they recognize that you worked for, I don't know if it was a Denny's or if you worked at Home Depot or if you worked anywhere, you're a service oriented person. And so even the smallest jobs, keep them on your resume when you're applying to your first job out of college or an internship too, because employers really want to see that you have a can-do attitude.
I was like, I visited King Spalding in Atlanta, the Atlanta like location. I think the
Oh,
people there are
awesome. Yeah.
super cool.
Yeah.
Um, I was wondering, how was the application process for you to apply to King Spalding? I know, like you said, your experience stood you out. What other like qualities do you think students should have in order to succeed in the application?
Great question. I really think it's all about leveraging what you do have. And so no matter what your degree is in, like mine was agriculture and I got hired for healthcare. No matter what you do have, it's all about marketing it towards what they need. So what the job application was asking me was, can you synthesize congressional information in a concise way that the lawyers can read it and then they can use it. I had done that with Senator Warnock, which was a really pivotal for me to continue doing that in this job, which was great. And I knew some of the softwares like Congressional Quarterly or using Quorum. I use that a lot. It's just a media compiling software where you can take tweets and Facebook posts and press releases and put them all into one place. So that was really my area of where I specialized, was not just agricultural policy, but also media tracking, which is very, you can transfer that to a lot of places in DC
Mhm.
and in Georgia too. But yes, it's all about tailoring your resume to making sure that it's focused on that specific job application, or that job description, excuse me. But for King and Spalding, I went through a 3 interview process. And so, actually, to back up, I first heard about King and Spalding and their project assistant positions summer of junior year when I was here in DC. And that's where I went to a networking event where I met a consultant who works here.
Oh,
And I didn't know them previously. I just turned around and tapped them on the shoulder and said, "Hey, who are you?" So that was really really important, was to just put yourself out there,
mm,
and to not be afraid to have a conversation, because you never know, the next person you might meet may have a job for you. And so, whether you're on campus or you're off campus, it's really important to get to know your professors and yeah, make yourself available for relationships, not just doing great work. Which is It was a combination of both those things, I think, that helped me through the application process. And then it was about 3 interviews, one with the hiring manager and then one with the paralegal manager, to make sure that it would be a good match. And then finally one with the partners at the firm, to make sure that I would work well with them. And that was it. So I think it would be pretty standard across most law firms, um, if you're interested in a law firm, but also standard across most places too.
mm, sounds good. That's super cool. I love your experience and everything.
Thank you. Yeah, and you guys will
Mhm.
have that too, really. And UGA is such a great place to connect with students who are really passionate, and then professors who have connections to other people too.
Mm,
I loved how you mentioned the vital aspect of networking. And in this current job market, it's, as I've always said, it's more of who you know than what you know. And also with
Mm.
the internships and previous experiences, like, are you ready to go? Do they have to train you? So I just want to ask you, what advice would you give for college students who want to reach out to law firms or government uh, agencies for networking?
Great question. I think if you're interested in law firms specifically, specifically for paralegals too, there are tons of LinkedIn certificates for, you can get a paralegal certification, or you can work with, I know there's an agency in Athens that does paralegal certifications too. So if you're interested, that would give you a huge leg up. That is not something that I chose to do, but the reason my role as a project assistant is because then I would work my way up to become a paralegal. But that would be a huge step up if you wanted to become a paralegal. For government agencies, I'll say, I didn't really search around when I was searching for jobs. I didn't look too closely at government agencies, but specifically congressional offices. It was really about um, finding people from an office that you've already worked in, or someone who went to UGA who's willing to reach out on LinkedIn was super helpful. And then they can point you in the right direction of, this person may have an agriculture focused position that you may be interested in. So LinkedIn is a huge resource, and I'm glad you're both using it, because it really helped me, especially when, after I had worked in DC, then you come back to Athens and you don't really have a way to keep in contact with these people, but you can through just saying, hey, every once in a while, to keep those relationships fresh, so that when you are ready to come back and get a job wherever you'd like to work, whether that's DC, New York, or even Atlanta, you can you're at the top of those people's minds on LinkedIn.
Mm. I think that's like a very valuable advice because I personally love using LinkedIn. It's like a great way to know the people and hopefully connect with them. Um, you said that like when you were in DC, you connected with the people in person. I think that like in this day and age, of course, like digital world, people connect online. But I also, from your experience, you connected with people in person, and that, help you land a job. What would be your advice for people who loves to go to networking events but are kind of scared, it's kind of overwhelming? Like also, I've never been to a networking event either, so it's Tony. So I was wondering, what would be your advice for us to apply like networking events, and how does that go for you?
Totally. I felt that too. My first events were sophomore year during college, and it was the career fair. I treated that as a networking event. Um, I was nervous. I felt like I didn't have a lot to offer my sophomore year, because I was still learning, and I hadn't even done that first AGCO internship yet. So I totally understand where people are coming from. But just to know that you still do have a lot to offer, when, even if you're just a freshman or just a sophomore, you've had a lot of experience in high school that's valuable, that people want to know about, and really also, you want to know how to tell a story about yourself. And so if you can put together just a few bullet points, because that's usually when people lose attention, is if you just have three things to say about yourself, um, then people will be hooked, or they'll have some more questions. But it's really important to practice, in the mirror or with someone, before you go into a networking event. And then you can give a quick description of yourself, and to say, I'm interested in what you do. Can you tell me more about you? So it's all about marketing yourself, and then also learning to ask questions about other people too. So
Mhm.
um, in Athens, there are a ton of opportunities. I found them through the College of Agriculture, but you can find them through most colleges. And the way to find them is, the best way for me, at least, was through my professors. And they would say, hey, we're having a research conference that's coming into town this day. Do you want to just come and look around, or do you want to ask questions? Like, it was very basic stuff that helped me to prepare for some bigger events that people are interested in hiring you for too. But
Mhm.
totally, my first career fair was nerve wracking, and I put out a lot of resumes and didn't walk away with a job offer, or anyone who wrote me back either. So it was just good practice. But starting early, marketing yourself, and learning to ask questions is really important.
Mhm. Thank you so much for the advice.
Yeah.
And I think those are such key pieces of advice, especially for incoming undergraduate students, because,
Yeah.
in high school, you're guided through the process. You have a lot covering for you if you're networking, but in college, you're more of on your own. You have to seek out these
Yeah.
opportunities. And as you said, it can be very nerve-wracking to go up to a professional, someone who you want to be, and sell yourself when you're such a newcomer to the career world that you want to invest in.
Mhm.
Now, I want to take a few steps back. Earlier, you mentioned that you're moving up to a paralegal position, and you currently work at King Spalding, which centers yourself into the law career job market. And I want to know, how feasible is a career in the law market for people who do not have JDs?
Great question. Especially in DC, I'll just speak about DC because that's been my experience. I think it's very attainable now. My firm, King Spalding, has done such a great job of hiring recent college grads. And so when I got here, there were only a couple other people who were around my experience level. But over the past year, we've hired at least 10 more people who are recent college graduates who are using this position of a project assistant or a legal practice assistant to decide if law school is right for them. And so I love that this firm is interested in recent grads, and I'm super grateful that they took a chance on me. And they definitely are interested. Lots of big law firms are interested in younger grads too. Um, and then, like you said, you're right. I'm interested in becoming more of a paralegal, and so as I get more experience, I learn the technical skills that you need, like site checking and blue booking,
Mhm.
um, which I didn't know anything about those before I applied to King and Spalding. So it's really they've done a great job of on the job training too, and then professional development. Eventually, I hope to become a paralegal, and so um, it's been a really great experience in DC because they're and I know in Atlanta too, some of my friends work at law firms in Atlanta. They're interested in hiring, Georgia grads too and Georgia Tech grads. So um, you can really, as long as you have, you can market your skills to get to a place where you're inside a law firm, or you're working with in-house counsel at a company, or you're working in the public sector, like you said, Tony. Um, and you're doing public service work either in Congress or with the state government or with a local attorney, all of those, you can market your skills to become a pre-paralegal and then eventually a paralegal. So yeah, there are a lot of different avenues.
Mhm. I think like a lot of our audience would thinking about different path in legal fields. Either it is, most of them would be, oh, I want to go to law school, but then they don't really know what they're getting themselves into. And I think your experience really paved in a different way. And also, I have some friends wanting to go to paralegal pathway, and I think I could share with them like what you said. But also, I also want to take a little like two step back about your college experience because I know that you're very ambitious. So you do a lot of things, and I don't know how you handle that. With also graduating college, with the high GPA. So, um, what did your work and life balance looks like? And would you recommend like college students, should they focus on studying or should they have also a balance with leisure times as well?
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you. I always considered other people to be way more busy than I was during college, so it's all about focusing on your own journey. And I used to be bad at really comparing myself to other people, and that I got caught in that loop of what's everyone else doing. But really, if you're just finding something that you really like and that you wake up for and that you want to do it during college, then stick to that because um, everyone else is chasing something different. So yeah, I totally understand. But I work life balance. That's a great question. In college, I really tried to put studies first, and so that was always my top priority was to, especially doing a double major. I wanted to make sure that both my degrees were finished in 4 years because I
Yeah.
really couldn't afford to stay for another semester. So I wanted to make sure that that was I got it done in 4 years, and then still also had time for study abroad and then internships without taking summer classes. So really, working with your advisors is the huge piece of advice I would offer because they are the ones who can make sure that the classes you're taking can correlate in two totally separate degrees. So I really appreciated my advisors. But outside of being at the science library, which was my favorite study spot, Um, I needed to block time in my day for just personal enjoyment things like mock trial was really entertaining for me because I grew up as a theater kid, and being a character witness was really fantastic. A way to continue that by acting and then applying it to law as well. But yeah, I would say um, time blocking is was really essential for me to fit in studying, and then also making sure that I had time for things that I enjoyed, like mock trial, and then hanging out with friends as well. So, um, but you both will have a totally different path, and it's exciting to hear about students as they're beginning, because I know it would have been helpful for me too.
I think that's really commendable that you discuss so much about work-life balance because for college students, they've recently transitioned again from high school and they still want as much leisure time as possible. College should not only be about the academics, but it should also be about uh, developing relationships, friendships, and enjoying your time there, enjoying the free time that you have because I think as me and Vivian will come to know, uh, relative to getting a full-time job, being in college is quite more free than that. So I think it's really good that you point out treasuring the time that you have to for self-enjoyment.
I totally second that. Like, I did not realize how much time you have on spring break or on summer
Mm.
breaks or on weekends even in college, because working a 9 to 5 was a huge transition. So yes, definitely enjoy every single free moment that you have, because I miss it. I really do.
Mhm.
And on the topic of time distribution, that moves us into our last question. What would your advice be for college students on how they should spend their time if they want to pursue a similar path like yours in either seeking a paralegal position or going into agricultural public policy?
Good question. Like I said, it can happen a million different ways to get to the place where I'm at right now, or somewhere else, either on the Hill, um, or not in DC, in Atlanta, or in a rural community in Georgia too. Um, but I would say the most important things for me to, like you said, cultivating relationships, not only with my friends, but also with professors. So, kind of being a teacher's pet and going and on those first days, and you want to make yourself known because those professors have so much to offer, and you will have a great friend too when you get to know them. So definitely talking to your professors, um, and then also when you feel like you need something else to pursue, like you're let's say you're focused a lot on school. I know I was freshman year, I realized I needed to have an outlet for all the stuff that was coming into my head. I needed to focus it outward too. So then came in the activities like, or the internships like the Congressional Agricultural Fellows and the Propel Rural Scholars Program. Um, Service oriented uh, internships were really important for me to, take what I was learning and then directly apply it, which employers love to see too. Um, but yeah, I think, like you said, hiring is difficult today, but it may not be in 3 or 4 years. And there's always hope, and there will always be a job. It may not be the one that you expected. This certainly was not what I expected. But you will, each place that you go to was a learning opportunity, and you draw something from it and you take it to the next place, or you stay long term and you really enjoy it. So I think relationships for me were the most important thing to relationships, and studying were the most important thing for me to develop.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. Relationship and studying. We have to keep that in mind in college when we go, you know. We have our orientation, or I have my orientation next week, so hopefully everything is going
Awesome.
good. So
What team are you on? What number?
I don't know yet,
Okay.
but I'll definitely know on the day.
Awesome. Okay, yeah. Those orientation leaders are fantastic. I never did an in-person orientation, but online they made it feel really at home. So I hope it really goes well.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's all of our questions for the day. Personally, I learned a lot from this interview as a pre-law student, and I hope that Tony and other people, whether they are even in high school when they're thinking about those careers, college or even law school, would also gain a lot of advice and a lot of insights from this interview. And thank you so much for spending time of your very busy life to, sit here with us.
Thank you both so much for having me. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I can send you my email if anyone else has questions too, because I know that would have been really helpful for me.
Of course.
It's an honor to meet you, Caleb.
It's an honor.
Awesome. Thank you both, and go dogs.